This is Mike W. with World War II with Mike W., the history of the 95 Years War. Just a quick reminder, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and also click on the notification bell. And please leave your comments below. This all helps me and the channel. Timestamps for each country will also be in the comments section. I will have to break this up in the next few years into sections to keep the videos a little shorter. In this video, I will cover Germany, Austria, the Soviet Union, and Great Britain in 1935. It is in 1935 that things start to slide into the abyss. In 1935, in Germany. In February, the Luftwaffe is reformed under the leadership of Hermann Göring. The Luftwaffe is the German Air Force. This guy was a World War I ace with 22 victories over the trenches for Germany. Coincidentally, the first prototype of the Bf-109 fighter aircraft flies in May of 1935. This fighter will be used extensively for the next 10 years, constantly being upgraded. Speaking of military rearmament, in March, Adolf Hitler orders the total rearmament of Germany. The German army is known as the Wehrmacht. The new army will be established at 480,000 soldiers. This will include mandatory military service for German men. This and the establishment of the Luftwaffe is in direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles. If you remember from my video about the terms of the treaty, Germany is not allowed to have an air force, tanks, submarines, and is limited to a token army of 100,000 soldiers. Adolf Hitler justifies this by stating that Great Britain, France, and the USSR have been rearming themselves and developing new war-fighting technologies while participating in disarmament negotiations. Somehow, all of a sudden, Germany had trained pilots in aircraft for an air force. If you recall from episode 8 of this series, the secret armament agreement between the Soviet Union and Germany to develop military equipment and tactics. This is where it begins to bear fruit for Germany. Tanks, planes, and pilots all ready to go. This causes the Prime Minister of France, Pierre-Antoine Flandin, Prime Minister of Britain, Ramsay MacDonald, and fascist leader of Italy, Benito Mussolini, to form the Strasse Front, a coalition negotiated at Strasse, Italy, to oppose Adolf Hitler's announced intentions to rearm Germany, which violated the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. And it was to protect the integrity of Austria. This coalition doesn't last long due to the actions of Italy that I will discuss in my next video. In January, there is a public referendum on the status of the Saar region. If you recall from my video regarding the Treaty of Versailles, this region was separated from Germany and administered by the League of Nations as a part of the punishment for Germany for the World War I, and as well as France gaining control of the rich coal reserves as a part of their war reparation payments. Mandate to be administered by the League of Nations was set to last for 15 years. In January of 1935, the people of the Saar voted. They were given the choice of staying with the League of Nations, becoming a part of France, or rejoining Germany. They chose to rejoin Germany by a 90% margin. In March of 1935, the Saar region is incorporated into the Reich. This is important, not only because of the rich coal reserves, but the model of a public referendum vote to join the German Reich will be used again, just maybe not so legitimately. Now comes the time when things go real bad in Germany. First, Germany prohibits publishing of literature that are not from non-Aryan writers. So what does that mean? From Britannica, the theory of an Aryan race appeared in the mid-19th century and remained prevalent until the mid-20th century. According to the hypothesis, those probably light-skinned Aryans were the group who invaded and conquered ancient India from the north and whose literature, religion, and modes of social organization subsequently shaped the course of Indian culture. This law basically keeps any writings of Jewish people, Slavic people, and anyone of color from being published in Germany. In August, there are Nazi mass demonstrations against German Jews in Berlin and throughout Germany. These were sometimes violent, with the violence being spurred on by members of the SA. Then, on September 15th, 1935, the Nuremberg Laws are passed. These laws, based solely on race, deprives German Jews of their citizenship. The Jews were classified as subjects of the state. The laws also made it illegal for German citizens to have sexual relations or to marry anyone who is Jewish. A Jewish person is defined as a person with at least one Jewish grandparent. Also, in 1935, the swastika becomes the official symbol of Nazi Germany, as well as Heinrich Himmler has started his new human breeding program to produce true Aryans in Germany. Austria. In 1935, Austria is stuck between a rock and a hard place, those being Germany and Italy. Italy responded to Germany's troops on the border in 1934 when the Nazi coup happened there, with troops of their own on the southern border. This prevented the German invasion of Austria. Italy is then forced to buddy up with Germany later in 1935, as you will see. This leaves Austria in a precarious place. Exciting times in the USSR in 1935. The food rationing that started back in 1929 comes to an end. During the rationing years, the higher up you are in the Communist Party, the better your rations were. Once more, again, communism shows that some people are more equal than others. Industrialization of the Soviet Union continues also. We are halfway through the second Stalin 5-year plan, which focuses on the mechanization of the Soviet society. Horses are replaced with tractors for farms. Also, great factories are being built, are also being tooled for making the implements of war. Great Britain in 1935. Here, there is a break from the darkness of these times. In Great Britain, British King George V and Queen Mary celebrate their Silver Jubilee. That is their 25th anniversary as King and Queen of Great Britain. There was a big celebration with a parade and a big party. Everyone not turned out to see the King and Queen. Huge sums of money are spent on the Jubilee celebration. Even with the economic issues of the time, it was important to show and to have the royal family show some pomp and circumstance. The crowds loved it and turned out in droves. The economy is improving, but not in all areas. Wales still suffers from high unemployment. On an important military front, November 1st, there is the first test flight of the Hawker Hurricane fighter aircraft. This aircraft will also play a pivotal role in fighting the before-mentioned Bf-109 in the skies over southern England in the not-too-distant future. On the international front, the Anglo-German Naval Treaty is signed. This treaty between Germany and Great Britain allowed Germany to build a navy up to 35% the size of that of Great Britain. This is in direct odds with the Treaty of Versailles, and this created division between France and Britain. This is, though, an act of appeasement by the British government to keep Adolf Hitler happy. Appeasement, as defined by Encyclopedia Britannica, is a foreign policy of pacifying an aggrieved nation through negotiation in order to prevent war. Appeasement will be all the rage in the latter part of the 1930s. Also, in 1935, there were general elections held in Britain. The Conservative Party won, and the new Prime Minister is Stanley Baldwin, replacing Ramsay MacDonald. This would be the last elections held there in Great Britain until the end of the fighting of World War II in 1945. The only seats of power that will change is the position of Prime Minister. Thank you for watching. In my next video on 1935, I will be covering the events in the United States, China, Japan, Italy, and Spain in 1935. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again. I'm Mike W., World War II with Mike W., the history of the 95 Years' War.